Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Taanit. We are up to Perek Bet Mishnah Vav. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'elu Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Aranbayev, and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Menuchatam Began Eden, Amen, Le'avdi ben Chaim Lechaim, for the Refuah Shlema B'Chabat Esther, and Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betoch Shah Chulei Israel. The Kohanim were divided into 24 family groups called Mishmarot, literally watches. The Mishmarot would take turns serving in the temple, with each Mishmar serving for 1 week at a time. Every Mishmar was itself divided into 7 groups, each called a Bet Av, literally father's house, and each Bet Av would serve for 1 day of the Mishmar's week of service. Some hold there were only 6 Batei Avot, each one served for 1 weekday, and they all served together on Shabbat. The Mishnah discusses how the Kohanim of the week's Mishmar and the day's Bet Av observed the fast decreed for rain. As taught in the first chapter, Mishnayot 5 and 6, there were 3 series of public fasts, 3 fasts, then another 3 fasts, then 7 fasts, and each series was more stringent than the one before. The Mishnah discusses each series separately. Shalosh Taaniyot Rishonot, on the first series of 3 fasts, Anshe Mishmar Mitanin V'lo Mashlimin, the men of the week's Mishmar who were not serving in the temple that day, for they do not belong to that day's Bet Av, fast most of the day but do not complete the fast, meaning they eat before evening. Fasting the entire day would weaken them, and they must have the necessary strength to assist with the service if necessary. Even though a Bet Av was on duty each day, the entire Mishmar had to be available in the event that extra help was needed. Since these fasts are not that stringent, the temple service takes precedence. V'anshe Bet Av lo yu mitanin klal. However, the men of the Bet Av on duty that day do not fast at all, because they must retain all their strength for the service. Shalosh Shniyot, on the second series of 3 fasts, Anshe Mishmar Mitanin Mashlimin, the men of the week's Mishmar fast and complete the fast. V'anshe Bet Av Mitanin V'lo Mashlimin, and the men of that day's Bet Av fast but do not complete the fast. As the drought worsens and the fast become more stringent, even the Kohanim on duty that day must join the fasting. Sheva Charonot, on the final 7 fasts, Elu V'elu Mitanin Mashlimin, both the men of the Mishmar and the men of the Bet Av fast and complete the fast. Divrei Rabbi Yoshua, these are the words of Rabbi Yoshua. The sages, however, rule more leniently. V'chachamim omrim, but the sages say, Shalosh Taaniyot Rishonot Elu V'elu lo ayu mitanin klal. On the first series of 3 fasts, neither the men of the Mishmar nor the men of the Bet Av fast at all. Shalosh Shniyot Anshe Mishmar Mitanin V'lo Mashlimin, V'anshe Bet Av lo yu mitanin klal. On the second series of 3 fasts, the men of the Mishmar fast but do not complete the fast, and the men of the Bet Av do not fast at all. Sheva Charonot Anshe Mishmar Mitanin Mashlimin, V'anshe Bet Av Mitanin V'lo Mashlimin. On the final 7 fasts, the men of the Mishmar fast and complete the fast, and the men of the Bet Av fast but do not complete the fast. And that is in Rabotai of Mishnah Vav. Mishnah Zayin now mentions additional laws that apply to the Kohanim of the week's Mishmar and the day's Bet Av. The first law concerns the Torah's prohibition against Kohanim serving in the Bet Mikdash after they have drunk wine, as the Torah says in Sefer Vayikra chapter 10, verse 9. Anshe Mishmar mutarim lishtod yain balilot avalo bayamim. The men of the week's Mishmar who are not on duty that day are permitted to drink wine during the night, but not during the day. They might not drink in the daytime. They may not drink in the daytime because most of the sacrificial service is performed then, and they might have to provide assistance. During the night, however, they are allowed to drink because only a small part of the service is done at night. The only service done at night was burning the parts of the day's offerings, which could be done by the Kohanim of the Bet Av on their own. V'anshe Bet Av lo bayom velo balayla. However, the men of that day's Bet Av may not drink wine during the day or the following night, because there is some service for them to perform even at night. Now, corresponding to the 24 Mishmarot of Kohanim were 24 groups of non-Kohanim called Ma'amadot, literally stations. Each Ma'amad was assigned to one of the Mishmarot. Every week when the Kohanim of the Mishmar would go to serve in the temple, men of the corresponding Ma'amad would go to the temple to attend the service of the public offerings. The Torah requires the owner of an offering to be present when it is brought. Therefore, the entire nation should be present when the public offerings such as the twice daily Tamid are brought on their behalf. Since this is impossible, the sages formed groups, Ma'amadot, to go to the temple and represent the nation. While in the temple, they would attend the service of the public offerings and fast and pray for those offerings to be accepted. The Ma'amadot are discussed in chapter 4, Mishnayot 2 through 4. The Mishnah mentions some rules decreed by the sages for the men of the acting Mishmar and the men of the acting Ma'amad. Anshe Mishmar v'Anshe Ma'amad asurin milisaper u'milechabes. The men of the Mishmar and the men of the Ma'amad are forbidden to cut their hair and launder their clothes during their week of duty. The sages forbade these activities once their week had begun to ensure that they would groom themselves properly before they came to the temple. However, on Thursday, they are permitted to cut their hair and wash their clothes in honor of Shabbat. Now, the Mili explains these activities are permitted on Friday as well. The Mishnah mentions Thursday, the Rav says, because that is when most people cut their hair and wash their clothes in honor of Shabbat. On Friday, they are occupied with other Shabbat preparations. But like we said, these activities would be permitted on Friday as well. And that is in Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.